from the pouch on his belt, flicked the twig with his nail to light it, and set the oil aflame. She could not turn her head far enough to keep track of her attacker when he stepped behind her and walked quickly out the rear door of the one-room cottage. The man slammed the door behind him. The woman, with agonizing slowness, dragged herself toward her babe. The low cradle rocked when the child reached out toward its mother, smiled. A cloaked, hooded figure stood in a doorway that wasn't present in the cottage before the attack. The silent observer made no attempt to come to her aid as she used the cradle to pull herself up onto her knees. Gently, she lifted the babe out of the sleeper, her blood washing over him as she held him close, her last breath given to him as a blessing before her struggle for life ended. Her body relaxed, allowing the infant to roll out of her limp arms onto the floor next to her. The flames rose around them, consuming the cottage's walls. Smoke thickened as it swirled around the room. The cloaked, hooded figure strode to the pair. The blaze spread by the burning oil danced away from him, never touching. The springing back into place was his passing. With a caress, he closed the mother's eyes and took the baby into his arms. He rose and walked back through the doorway, which disappeared from the wall as though it never existed. The flames claimed the small home, the young mother. As the fire consumed her, a fiery female form rose up from her body, stood, and stretched. The blazing woman smiled before shrinking to a mote the size of a fingertip. Glowing brightly, the ember, all that remained of the woman, rose skyward on heated currents of air through the remnants of the thatched roof. And so it begins. Thank you.
So my name is Jay Ware, and I've been a member of the African American Rock Alliance for a minute. I'm going to do two quick pieces. Hopefully they'll be pretty quick. And so I wrote a piece just for this event called Genuis. So it's a Genius conference, and I wanted a title that said Genius. How many geniuses do you need to convince world leaders to concede? How many agonizing stories should be told before investigated by Interpol? How many? Genocides, homicides, crimes against humanity, abuses steadily increasing. How many? How many geniuses do you need to dispel alternate reality? Television, movies, internet, AI, what the heck? Draining the swamp of harmless green ogres named Shrek, wanting to live a simple life, be left alone, invaded by fairy tale immigrants, fleeing a tyrant, desperate for a safe home. Religion, color, cartoon characters, tears taste the same, salty, heartfelt, gut-wrenching pain. How many? How many geniuses do you need to testify to trauma, unrestrained insanity? Germans, Russians, Americans, Africans, Ukrainians, Iranians, Somalians, Palestinians, Syrians, Haitians, Europeans, no need for a historian. The violence never ends. Where one fades, another quickly begins. How many? How many? Tornadoes, wildfires, floods, earthquakes, disease, shelling, shootings, fighting, millions facing food insecurities. How many? How many geniuses do you need to apply a tourniquet to stop the bleed? Black, white, Hispanic, Asians, Jews, natives, and so many others are hurting in need. What is the harm in being brothers and sisters to see our similarities? Slavery, brutality, discrimination, caste system knows no single name. Horrific, oppressive outcomes are eerily the same. How many geniuses? How many genius do you need to shrink the tumors of inequality? To know that land grab isn't old, that black coal is the new glittery gold, that faith is preached from the pulpit, that coveting is the true culprit, that turning a blind eye will magically turn what is true into a lie, that turning a blind eye won't magically turn what is true into a lie. How many geniuses? How many geniuses does it take? Singing, dancing, speaking, painting, acting out what is ultimately at stake. That's that one.
Yes.
Okay, here's a really quick one. This one's funny. I laughed myself when I did this one. So, as an African American woman, as a Black woman, I think about myself and some of my movements, some of my actions, some of my thoughts, some of my behavior. And you don't necessarily have to be an African American woman to behave like this, but I do see a lot of us do. So this is called Best Believe.
See.
Best Believe. It is so funny to me when somebody points at me with Best Believe. When a Black woman sighs, tilts her head to the side, looks you dead in the eye, best believe. She is thinking, really? Do you expect me to believe that lie? When a Black woman smiles slightly, when nothing funny is said, best believe there are no funny thoughts rummaging around in her head when a Black woman tightens her lips, lets her backbone slip. Best believe she is holding back a flood of four-letter words, praying God will tame her tongue from blurting out what really needs to be heard. Best believe.
Best believe.
When a Black woman finally shakes her head in apparent agreement, saying, I get it. Okay. I understand. Best believe. She is not buying your opinion, your perspective, or endorsing your condescending demands when a Black woman stops mid-sentence. Appearing lost in thought, best believe she is not lost in space, finished with the conversation, finding it a time-consuming waste. When a Black woman has tears streaming down her face, an intense glare sharper than a two-edged sword, best believe heaven or hell will be your very next reward. When a Black woman's heart is captured, strength and resilience, a thing of beauty beyond depiction, throwing down in the kitchen, loyal, loving, lacking a proper description, best believe you have a partner for life, toe-to-toe, strive, prescribed, committed. That's my man. It's the best feeling in all of God's given land when a Black woman has your back. Best believe she will stand beside you, ride with you, go into battle with you, confide with you, and when all is said and done, best believe you better be acting the same way too. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Since we're short on time, gonna make one short poem from anthology Moons Ago. This is about Southern Africa, South Africa, but it can be applied to what's going on in Congo right now too. It's the same situation. And it's interesting, when I looked through this, I wrote this probably 2 decades ago. I didn't know quite what my ethnicities were, but I did Ancestry like 5 years ago, and I found out that part of my family actually is Zulu. And luckily, I found living Zulu relatives that I'm in contact with. So like this poem comes from the spirit. Here it goes. I love you, baby, but you'll get no diamond ring. No dollar. You'll get no such thing. Cause it's just a status symbol for the more dispossessed, an empty icon employed by the West that starts you sliding down the slippery consumer slope and denigrates natural love into false hope, based on a rock that isn't half as rare as claimed, for which our Southern African brethren are tortured, killed, and maimed. So that light you see in the diamond just might be the remnant of a Zulu soul who died enslaved in a mine under settler colonial control. Even though I worship you, baby, you'll get no diamond ring. Ask my Zulu cousins what makes the caged bird sing. Is it forced communal living in houses made of straws, or dealing with the aftermath of Bantustans and past laws, like living in those group areas selected by the state, where many minors are lucky if they ever see 28, struggling hundreds of miles away from home with no beauty or women at all, surviving on daily rations of dirt, rice, and alcohol, suffering indignities on the southernmost part of the earth in order to give exterior validation to people devoid of interior work. Even though I adore